Alrighty, third video for today. These little spare shafts I had laying around. I have another crossbeam because I snapped, my arm was broken. This shaft, focus, you can see that light pit in there? This may be my replacement unless I can find another one today, because the one I pulled out is not horrible. Like, I've seen significantly worse. But she's not good, and it's not going back in there right now. That one I have one that's marginally better. I'm going to call Napa and see if I can get another one. If I can't get another one, that's going in there possibly with a repair bearing, possibly without. I don't know yet. What's concerning, you know, your typical metal flake on the drain plug and all that kind of crap. That little piece right there that obviously got smashed by something, and it looks like it's part of the bearing cage. The squishy one is part of the seal that blew out. Those are everywhere in there. It is, I believe, this seal. Yeah, I thought that was the blown one. Yeah, maybe it is. One of the seals blew out. I was just gushing all out. There's also this little guy. This one I found in with the ring and pinion, which means if it migrated from this bearing somehow, it went through the bearing that is holding the ring gear in place. This one I found over by the axle, by the wheel bearing. And as you can see, I don't see any missing pieces of this cage, but as you can see, she is not a happy wheel bearing. So, I mean, when your finger is metallic-y afterwards, yeah. Aussie Locker, this is 7 years of hers, 300 something thousand. I mean, the cross pin is quite worn. There's no doubt about that. But that's holding up relatively well. That piece there and that piece there is what really concerns me. And then, you know, your oil. It certainly has some metal in it. That's not good, but it's rear end, non-engine block. It's going to be okay. Even if it's not okay, it's going to be okay. Gives you an idea. This was on the side with the wheel bearing that gave up. Like, I could grab the axle shaft and wiggle it up and down probably 3/8 of an inch or more. It wasn't good. I swabbed and cleaned out the axle shaft with the magnet on a stick and rags best I could. And yeah, that thing, not good. And I did more with a rag. What I'm really hoping, I know I've tightened the pinion bearing and the axle up a few times. I'm hoping that that is not about to let go. So I have another axle over there, it's parts axle. That's what happened, the pinion bearing went out. If we crawls under here, I need a lift. I need to, like my jack stands? I have awesome jack stands here. Let's wipe the camera out. See the less than perfect finish on the ring gear? It's not horrible. I have seen much worse. But that's 526-ish thousand, if I remember correctly, right now. It's certainly a high mileage truck, and I have not been nice to it. I don't know what that mark is there on the pinion. It does not look like a crack. I also don't know what it is. That, even though I don't see missing pieces of the cage, from that wheel bearing. It looks like the cage is intact from what I can see. It must have come through that bearing. I don't really see any other way. I don't know how else it could have gotten in there. So that's scary. A lot of scary things here. That crack. I don't know if that's a crack. Oh yeah, backlash. I don't know how well it shows up on camera. There was a significant amount of lash in this ring pinion. You've seen some videos of towing and hauling with this truck. You know, if you've watched any of that, you know I'm not easy on it. I mean, it's typical load as that. And there's typically a trailer behind you on top of that. So, I mean, it's empty. Status like this actually exceeds its own giveaway rating. So, I don't know. Maybe time for a stolen 10 1/4. We will see. Alright, so video number 4 for today. So, yay, Timken's fail bearings. These do not last as long as your standard bearing. Okay? They do not last as long. These, you can realistically expect 100 to 150,000 under, you know, so-called normal abuse. So, stuff like this, maybe towing something like that. Not towing stuff like that on a regular basis anyways. These have two distinct advantages in my mind. Even though they do not last, these probably last on average, say 75 to 100,000. Though a little more than half the life than the standard style bearing can give you. Here's the advantages to them. Because your rollers now ride farther out, you're actually making your shafts a little bit stronger, at least for the load capacity. Because now there's less leverage on your wheel to try and bend your shaft. So good in that regard. Now, obvious purposes, so you can see some light spalling there. This is the best new to me shaft I have. So it's what's going in there. But it, you know, obviously puts my bearing in a clean spot so that's no longer an issue. That's the ideal. The other wonderful thing about them is when you're abuseful to your equipment and you don't heal the fact that your bearing is going out and you get metal shavings everywhere because the bearing ate itself alive. And I don't know if you can see how well you can see that, but those rollers are not happy. There is all kinds of metal flake in this axle. That's a magnet I dipped in the oil pan oil. The dirty, nasty oil that came out of there. And there was even some chunks that, unfortunately, were not found near the bearing. They somehow migrated into the pumpkin, so I'm hoping there's not something wrong in there. Don't know that, just hoping. Well, that's the advantage, is because they have an inner seal. Guess what that does for you? This, in its infinite wisdom of design, when you don't hear it squeaking and you chew the bearing and shaft to death, all the metal shavings from that bearing failing are contained right here, and they don't float around through the rest of the housing. There is also that advantage. This, I would say, they're marginally stronger because the bearing's closer to the load, and when they do fail, you don't spread metal shavings through the entire housing, which is wonderful. So there was video number 4 for the day, and I'll upload some stuff. I have 3 minutes left of video left of memory room for video on my phone. I should do something about that.